Today in Capechi's Corner, we're going to look at multiplying rational expressions. When we multiply rational expressions, we are going to just multiply across the numerator like you did with some basic fractions. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 5 times 4 is 20. So we have 6 over 20, which we will simplify to 3 over 10, and that's our final answer. So for instance, in number 1, we're going to multiply across. 7 times 10 gives me 70. And n to the 5th times n to the 3rd is going to be n to the 8th because I add the exponents. My denominator is 5 times 14 gives me 70. And n to the 2nd times n gives me n to the 3rd. So when I simplify, first I'm going to look at my coefficients. That's going to simplify to 1. And then n to the 8th over n to the 3rd gives me n to the 5th, which is my final answer. Now when I have fractions that are binomials or trinomials, I want to see if I can factor. So in number 2, my numerator is going to stay the same, y minus 5. I can't factor anything out of that. My denominator, 3y squared minus 3y. I do have a greatest common factor there, which is 3y. And then I'm left with y minus 1 times, again, my numerator here is 2y squared. I'm going to factor my denominator, so I'm going to set up my binomials. I don't have a greatest common factor. I have y, and y will get me y squared. And then my second sign is a plus. It tells me the signs are the same. They're both going to be a negative. And I need factors of 5 that when I add together I get 6. So it's going to be 5 and 1. Now that I have everything pulled apart, I want to see if there's anything I can simplify. Remember, with my binomials, they have to be exactly the same. So because I have y minus 5 as a numerator and y minus 5 as a denominator, I can simplify those. So my numerator is now 2y squared. My denominator, again, I'm always going to put my monomials in the front. So I have 3y. And then I have y minus 1. And because I have 2 of them, I'm going to square it. Now I can see if I can simplify. My coefficient's 2 over 3. Can't simplify that at all. And then I have y squared over y, which I can simplify. That will simplify to y to the first power in my numerator. So my final answer is 2y over 3 times the quantity of y minus 1 quantity squared. And looking at number 3, again, I'm trying to pull apart both my numerator and denominator and see what I can simplify. So in my numerator, my first fraction, my greatest common factor is a 5. So I'm left with x plus 2 all over x minus 3 times, then I have x squared minus 9, which gives me x plus 3 times x minus 3 all over 5. Now again, now that I have everything pulled apart, I need to see what I can simplify. So I have x minus 3 and x minus 3, which are exactly the same. So I can simplify those since they're binomials. And I have a 5 and a 5, which can also simplify. So my final answer is x plus 2 times the quantity of x plus 3. In number 4, my numerator is just a monomial, so that x is going to stay there. My denominator, I have a greatest common factor, which is 2. So I have 2 times the quantity of x plus 2 times. Now this right here is a numerator. It's really over 1, so if that helps you, you can do that. My greatest common factor there is x, so I'm left with x times the quantity of x plus 2 over 1. X plus 2 will simplify, and I'm left with x times x, which is x squared, all over 2. That's my final answer. In our last problem for today, I have b minus 3, which again is really a numerator, so if that helps you to write it like that, go ahead and write that like that, times, my numerator here is b plus 3, and then my denominator is b squared minus 9. Now I have a perfect square minus a perfect square, which will factor to b plus 3 and b minus 3. Now I have a b minus 3 in my numerator, one in my denominator, and then I have a b plus 3 both in my numerator and my denominator. So when I'm done, this actually simplifies to just the number 1. So that's my final answer.